Nitai Gauranga. Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga, Bolo.
Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga.
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 Nitai Gauranga, Gaura Hari.
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 Bolo. Nitai Gauranga, Gaura Hari.
Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga.
Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga.
Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga.
Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga.
Nitai Gauranga, Gaura Hari.
Nitai Gauranga, Gaura Hari.
Nitai Gauranga, Gaura Hari.
Nitai Gauranga, Gaura Hari.
Jaya Sachinandana, Jaya Sachinandana.
Everyone, Jaya Sachinandana, Jaya Sachinandana.
Jaya Sachinandana, Jaya Sachinandana.
Jaya Sachinandana, Jaya Sachinandana.
Jaya Sachinandana, Gaura Hari.
Jaya Sachinandana, Gaura Hari.
Gaura Hari, Jaya Gaura Hari.
Gaura Hari, Jaya Gaura Hari.
Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga.
Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga.
Nitai Gauranga. Nitai Gauranga.
Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga.
Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga.
Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga.
Nitai Gauranga, Jaya Gaura Hari.
Everyone, Nitai Gauranga, Jaya Gaura Hari.
Nitai Gauranga, Gaura Hari.
Nitai Gauranga, Gaura Hari.
Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga.
Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga.
Nitai Gauranga, Nitai
Nitai Gauranga Jaya Nitai Gauranga
Nitai Gauranga.
Nitai Gauranga
Nityananda.
Thank you for joining us. Thank you for singing with us. It's such a pleasure to have you here with us. Thank you for joining us on Zoom. So nice to see you and all of you on Facebook and YouTube. We love you. Thank you for joining us. Today is Nitai Gauranga Kirtan.
An extra special welcome to our friends on Zoom today. It really helps us because this is a personal path. This is not impersonal meditation. This is very much about acknowledging each other because it's Sankirtan, right?
It's an interactive meditation.
So Sangha, we know what Sangha means when we come together, right? So we often have satsangs where we come together and we speak truth. So Sangha is when we come together, and Kirtan is this call and response chanting of mantras. Now, of course, it's all a little tweaked now because we're in an age where, you know, we have the technology to do this online, but there is still the mood of acknowledging the spirit in the other person. So special shout out to people on Zoom because that way we get to see you and acknowledge the spirit within you. And you can also do it just sending it out into the ether online, but it does really help to have that heart connection. So if you want to join on Zoom, please email us first at krishnakirtanmusic@gmail.com. And you only have to do that once, the email. You don't have to do that every week. We just need to get to know you first, get to know your name, and then that way when we see you in the waiting room, we can let you in. And that way we keep the community
Safe.
Sacred, really, and safe.
So it's krishnakirtanmusic@gmail.com, as you can see it on the screen.
Okay, so now on to this kirtan. And today, we mix up our kirtans a bit. We always mix up the melody, but we do have a variety of different mantras. So today we did Nitai Gauranga. And so who are these divine personalities that we're singing to? So Nitai means two things, Nitya and Ananda. So Nitai is an abbreviation of Nityananda, and Nityananda means, Nitya means eternal, so without beginning, without end, forever. Never was there a time when we did not exist, right? So this body may come and go, the body's born, and every 7 years you have completely different set of cells in the body, right? But the spirit remains throughout the journey of this life. And so as we leave this body at the end of life, and then transmigration of the soul. So there never is the time when we didn't exist. We're eternal, Nitya. Ananda is bliss, right? Ananda.
So the eternal bliss,
So it is
Nityananda.
eternal bliss. So think in the heart and the mind, this concept of eternal bliss, right? And Gauranga is a very beautiful name, Gauranga. It literally means, Anga means limb and Gaura means golden, but it's to denote a special avatar that came in the 15th century specifically to teach this chant and dance mantra experience. So now when you go online, you can find 24 hours a day Hanuman Chalisa, or 24 hours a day Namah Shivaya, or 24 hours a day Maha Mantra. So this concept of coming together in Sankirtan and singing and chanting together, this was a prescribed method of meditation that was introduced back in the 16th century, actually late 1400s into the 1500s, sort of straddling those two centuries. There was an avatar called Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and he was the son of Sachi, so he's Sachinandana, and he is Gauranga, and he's Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So many different names. We're all known by multiple names. So the divine is also known by multiple names.
And what year was this?
And this is in the late 1400s, early 1500s. So a 48-year span. and this happened in West Bengal, and it's in all the secular historical texts as well. But in the same way that so many avatars have descended. So avatar means come down. So there are so many avatars that have come and gone in recent and ancient history, and they're all throwing a lifeline, kind of like fishing, but vegetarian fishing, fishing for souls to sort of entice us to come back. And where are we going back to? What is the back? The back is not actually physically going somewhere. It's the act of the union or the yoga in our heart. So it's the act of reconnecting with our divine source. So that's where we're going back to. And so Kirtan is just one of the many, many paths to reconnect us back to our divine. It just so happens to have been recommended in this particular age that we live in, because it's a very chaotic, very disturbed age. And I try to be positive, and everything is like, you know, namaste and shanti shanti, but at the end of the day, it is kind of intense. Life is kind of intense. And if you have one of those lives where your life is not intense, then yay you. But for me, and for most people I know, life is kind of intense. So we need a meditation practice that helps engage the mind, engage the heart, and engage the body. So that's what this chant and dance process is for. So what are the melodies we sing, right? The melodies, you can make up your own melody. But in the same way that we learn many things from great teachers that have come before us, there is also a musical practice that is defined and refined over many, many centuries and thousands of years to be the honey that carries the mantra. And so these are all conducive elements. So there are some systems of music. There's South Indian classical music and there's North Indian classical music. And all these definitions, they're just ways to help describe and classify. So I happen to be more in the style of North Indian, so Hindustani classical music. And the particular system is rags and parts. So a part is a scale, and there's roughly 10 scales have been classified by this great musicologist, Bhatkande. And within each of those scales are many, many dozens, sometimes hundreds of rags within each scale. And you can think of Western music too, and the different scales in Western music. So there are similar scales in North Indian classical music. So the scale that we're in for this rag that we sung is Kafi Raag. So it's K-A-F-I, but just remember it like it's a nice cup of coffee to wake you up, to wake up your spiritual life. And so Kafi is both a rag as well as a part, as well as a scale. And so it is the signature rag of its scale. So what does this mean?
And I just sent it to you, the Aarohi and Amrohi, on the Zoom box, so you can check it out on the chat box, so you can follow along on what we're gonna go over right now.
So Aarohi means going up, and Amrohi means coming down. And there are 7 notes. Now, not every rag and every scale voices every note, but it just so happens in this rag, all notes are voiced. So it's sa, re, ga, ma, pa, da, ni, sa. This is the do, re, mi, if you like. Mm-hmm. So I'll say it again: sa, re, ga, ma, pa, da, ni, sa. A major scale would be sa, re, ga, ma, pa, da, ni. So ni, sa, sa, ni, da, pa, ma, ga, re, sa. That's a natural major scale. But Kafi has 2 flat notes which give it a twist. So ga and ni are flat or komal in Kafi.
And that's why you see them in lower case.
Yes. Sa, re, ga, ma,
Let's do it together.
So just slide from ma to ga. So we approach ga from above. Think of country music with the sliding. I remember you. So we slide from ma to ga. Sa re ga ma pa ga ni sa sa ni da pa ma ga re sa. One more time. Sa re ga ma pa ga ni sa sa ni da pa ma ga re sa. So a rag is much more than a scale. A rag is a combination of melodic phrases, and it is designed to evoke certain emotions. So with this rag, Kafi, the emotion that is intended to be invoked is sringara, or divine love, absolute divine love with divinity, right? So love can be in union and love can be in separation. So some rags lean towards love in separation with that sort of soulful crying, and other rags lead to union, and they're very good. They're played at weddings and so forth. This particular rag has a restless quality, so it's both in union and in separation. And there are different things to meditate on. You can be a yogi that just meditates on the white light and nothingness, and you just want shanta rasa, or peacefulness. You don't want any descriptive qualities. You just want it can be described as impersonal. Nothing wrong with that. It's just a flavor, right? So think vanilla, very vanilla. But another flavor is sringara, or divine love. So this is imbued with this essence of love, this exchange of love. So that just happens to be the lineage that I'm in and the mood that I go for. So it tends to be within a lot of the ragas we do.
Very loving.
And so this particular rag is in that divine love mood. Now the prescribed time to sing this rag is between 9 p.m. and midnight. So it's the second. If you were to break nighttime into 4 sections and daytime into 4 sections, this would be the second prahar, or the second section of the evening. And if you lived right on the equator and your days were 12 hours long and your nights were 12 hours long, this would be 9 p.m. to midnight.
This is a type of coffee you want to have at that time of the day. This rag was first discovered by historians working backwards and looking at historical notes. It was first seen in a musical piece called the Rag Tarangini, which was in the court of the Kandwala dynasty in India by a court musician called Lochana Pandit. And he was at the time of Mahaprabhu. It was 15th and 16th century, and he used to write in his native language of Maithili. But this mood of Vrindavan, this mood of Radha Krishna Leela, this divine Leela, was sweeping everywhere, especially with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu singing in West Bengal, where this area is, where this court musician is. And so he stopped writing in his tongue and started writing in Brij Bhasa, which is the dialect of Vrindavan, where Radha and Krishna are from, where all the pastimes are from. And so we can see that he was influenced by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and this Kirtan movement. So what is the connection between Chaitanya and Radha Krishna? So Radha is the goddess of love, Krishna is the god of love. So many different names for these divine beings, you know.
You have also Shiva and Parvati, and they have one mood. Then you have Radha and Krishna, and they have another mood. So the mood of Radha Krishna and Vrindavan is very informal and very intimate. Whereas when you have maybe Sitaram, this is Aishwarya. This is very awe and reference. They're leaders, they're kings and queens, you understand their boss. But with Radha Krishna, the mood is very intimate and informal. You can rough and tumble with Krishna. You can, pull his hair. Radha bites Krishna. It's very informal. So this is this intimate mood of Vrindavan. So the connection between Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Vrindavan and this Radha Krishna Leela of divine love is that it is considered that his internal mood, he was the internal experiencing this love of Radha Krishna, and that his incarnation was to experience this inner mood. It's quite esoteric, but it's beautiful to have this background so that these names are just not random, like we could be singing Coca-Cola, Bitcoin, whatever, music festival, whatever. We could be just saying all these random words. We don't want to say random words. We want to know what we're saying. So, Nitai Gauranga, right? Jai, Sachinandana. Jai means yay. Victory means victory, technically. But it's more like booyah. It's an exclamation of joy.
Is that woohoo?
Jaya, Gaura, Hari. So again, Jaya means victory, means yay. Gaura, Hari. Gaura means golden, and Hari means God. It means the one that lifts the veil of ignorance. So this is what these words mean. So we take, so many kirtans are in this Kafi Raag because it is a rag that was considered for the lay people. There are some rags that are very intricate, they must be sung a certain way, they must be perfected, but Kafi Raag was a rag for the masses. So as such, there are many kirtans that were composed in Kafi Raag. And anything about Kafi Raag?
Well, I think
just the mood is bhakti, the mood is divine love. And these are the rasas. Rasa means taste. It is the nectar, right? And so a couple of days, the reason why I chose this kirtan for today is a couple of days ago was the disappearance day of another saint. His name was Ramananda Ray, and he was a good friend, an intimate yogi friend of Chaitanya. And Chaitanya, when in his later years, he went to Jagannath Puri, which is in Odisha, in Bengal, and they used to discuss a lot about the inner mood of sringara. So I thought, why not do a Gaura Kirtan?
Let's do it.
So the meditation of this kirtan, all right? So before we just sang it, who cares? We were thinking about shopping lists, whatever. Now that we're focused, we've been meditating on this. Now let's meditate on divine love. Now let's sing in glorification of Nitya Ananda, of eternal bliss. And let's sing in celebration of this mantra, chant, dance experience, and with a firm meditation on divine love and bringing it into our lives, but also being in the service of that in our lives.
And remember, when I say Bolo, that means speak, to speak. So I'm inviting you to sing with me and reply to Shri.
Start slowly. Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga,
Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga,
Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga,
Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga,
Nitai Gauranga,
Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga,
Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga,
Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga,
Nitai
Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga,
Nitai Gauranga, Gaura Hari.
Nitai Gauranga, Gaura Hari.
Nitai Gauranga, Gaura Hari.
Bolo! Nitai Gauranga, Gaura Hari.
Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga.
Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga.
Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga.
Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga. Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga.
Everyone. Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga. Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga.
Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga.
Nitai Gauranga, Jaya Gaura Hari.
Nitai Gauranga, Jaya Gaura Hari.
Nitai Gauranga, Gaura Hari.
Nitai Gauranga, Gaura Hari.
Gaura Hari, Jaya 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 Gaura Hari.
Everyone, Gaura Hari, Jaya Gaura Hari.
Gaura Hari, Jaya Gaura Hari.
Gaura Hari, Jaya Gaura Hari.
Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga.
Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga.
Nitai Gauranga,
Nitai
Nitai Gauranga.
Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga.
Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga.
Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga.
Jaya Sachinandana, Nitai Gauranga.
Jaya Sachinandana, Nitai Gauranga.
Nitai Gauranga, Jaya Gaura Hari.
Nitai Gauranga, Jaya Gaura Hari.
Gaura Hari, Jaya Gaura Hari.
Gaura Hari, Jaya Gaura Hari.
Gauranga.
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 Nityananda.
Nityananda.
Gauranga.
Gauranga.
Nityananda.
Nityananda.
Jaya Gaura Hari.
Jai. Thank you for singing with us. So sweet.
So one thing I want to really impress upon us is that kirtan is a practice. We don't, sometimes when we silently meditate, we grade ourselves. How did I meditate? Oh, I had that moment where I started, my mind wandered off and I ended in Switzerland somewhere. But we don't berate ourselves. We have to keep bringing the mind back, the focus back. The same thing will happen in kirtan. Sometimes a note is sticky, sometimes the finger goes to a wrong note, sometimes the mind goes to Switzerland. Whoever knows what's going on. The point is with kirtan is that we constantly pull our mind back to the mantra, mind back to the mantra, mind back to the mantra. And the rags help us do that because they embody the mood that we're going for.
Enhance the meditation. It enhances
they
the
enhance
meditation.
the meditation. So yeah, if you live in a noisy neighborhood and you're meditating, you might put on a very sweet flute to enhance your meditation. So in the same way, the rags enhance the mantra meditation. And so there are so many rags and there are so many mantras.
And we want to share them all with you.
So thank you
There
for
are
joining
thousands.
us. And if you want to hear some of the other melodies, you can go to our YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/C/Krishna Kirtan Music.
Yeah, you can see it on the screen, and that's where we have all these playlists for free, and we have a bunch of recordings.
And one of the ways that we like to keep it available for everyone is to encourage those who really like what we do to visit patreon.com/Krishna Kirtan Music, and that way you could join the family and give a little each month, anything from like $5 or $10, or if you just want to do on a one-off per class basis, you can go to paypal.me/Krishna Kirtan Music. For those folks in the US, we are on Venmo at Krishna Kirtan Music. You might see a theme here. Everything is Krishna Kirtan Music. But because the idea is to just immerse in the kirtan and in the mantra.
And once again, please email us so you can join us on Zoom. We love to see you singing. It's krishnakirtanmusic@gmail.com. Email us with your first and last name so we know you are real and we let you in. And yes,
if we see people on the waiting list in the Zoom, you got to email us first, just one time, and then we'll get to know your name.
Yes, and so lovely to see you. We are gonna stay with our friends on Zoom to go over any questions. And for those of you on Facebook, on YouTube, thank you so much for your comments, and we'll reply shortly. We love you, and please put your kirtan alarm for 7 p.m. Los Angeles time every Wednesday. Okay.
Adios, amigos.
Adios, Facebook and YouTube.